Jurassic Park 3 is directed by Joe Johnston and stars Sam Neill, William H. Macy, and Dale Leone, and it tells a story about Alan Grant and Billy Brennan being brought in by the Kirby's to go to Isla Sorna and basically be their guide in this plane runaround of the island. But not all as it seems, as the Kirby's actually plan to land on the island and try to find their long-lost son who has been stranded on Isla Sorna for about 8 weeks. And so this group of people have to find Eric Kirby, get out of the island alive, and that's the basic plot of the movie. It's kind of a sci-fi kind of plot, B-movie plot. It doesn't really explore much of the lore of Isla Sorna, doesn't talk about the ramifications of man and nature like the first two movies. This is just a straight up survival movie. And I think this is why it was originally intended for the Jurassic franchise to be a bit more serialized rather than like a complete story arc. I felt like the complete story arc was well handled in 1 and 2, the Jurassic Park and the Lost World. Like, watching those two movies back to back together feels like a complete story arc that went full circle and there's no more stories need to be told. This just felt like another movie in the franchise that just so happened to have the Jurassic name. But to me, it's still entertaining. To me, I still have fun watching this movie. This is a childhood favorite of mine. I loved the Spinosaurus as a kid. I mean, this guy was one of my favorite dinosaurs. I loved that T-Rex and the Spinosaurus fight. I mean, I really dug this movie as a kid. This was my favorite of the Park franchise when I was little. Not so much of it anymore. I find myself being more favorable to Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, The Lost World. You know, movies that actually talk about the ramifications of man and nature and how they shouldn't play God. I find myself more interested in the deeper stories that this franchise has to tell, rather than just a survival movie. But still, in its own right, it is very entertaining and does its job very well. Especially with its lead performance, Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill. Man, he's still God at this character. I mean, he's more jaded this time around. He's a bit different. I guess it's kind of a bit of character assassination for him to just call these animals monsters. Whereas in the first movie, even though they are attacking him, he still sees these animals as amazing creatures. But no, he sees them as monsters here. So I would say that in terms of the overall character of Alan Grant, it's not really handled as well, especially since he kind of broke off with Ellie Sattler. I mean, we did not really see them get together officially after the first movie, but we show that she's not together with him in this movie, so I guess that ending of the first movie was, at the time, pointless. Jurassic World Dominion fixed that. We'll get to that movie when we get to it. But yeah, this kind of ruined, I wouldn't say ruined actually, I would say it did not progress the character of Alan Grant the way I think it should have. But still, Sam Neill does a really good performance. His infatuation with paleontology is still in line with his character from the first movie. And how smart he is above everyone else, taking the proper precautions, especially since he's been through this situation before. He's just all around the best character of this entire movie. And if there's anyone else who could top him, let's see, we got Taylor Leone. Nah, she yells too much. William H. Macy, I mean, he's comedic relief and has a bit of character progression. We got Billy Brennan, who steals raptor eggs for some reason. Oh, we got Eric Kirby, who is the second best character of this entire movie, and one worth talking about. He is the kid that is stranded on this island for 8 weeks, and the first time we see him was after the raptor attack incident in the movie, in the middle of the movie, where Alan Grant's surrounded by raptors. Eric Kirby throws gas grenades at them and was able to save Alan Grant. And this is where we get my favorite parts of the film, where Alan Grant and Eric Kirby are talking to each other, talking about the past with dinosaurs, and how much Eric knows about Alan Grant and is kind of a fan of his, and leaning more so to his side rather than Ian Malcolm, and seeing their dynamic with one another. It was just great to see. And to see Alan Grant progress enough to where he is able to get along with kids, especially one as smart and resourceful as Eric Kirby, I just find to be extremely satisfying for the character of Alan Grant, and a good moment to see how far his character progressed. Bad jokes aside. Overall, this aspect of the film I find very interesting, especially the aspect where we focus a bit on the raptor side, the other tribe of raptors in the jungle area of Visa Sorna, not the tiger striped ones from the Lost World. This is a different kind with stripes, with quills, a little bit more paleontological accurate at the time. These are at the time the most smarter raptors. They are the most fearsome. They are the most dangerous. And they work much better as a group, where it feels like in the past few films, the raptors don't really work as well together as a group. This group of raptors are smart and cunning and actually work together very well, like a pack of animals stalking for prey. Like, these raptors were awesome to me, and they're still awesome today. Their chase sequences in the jungle and how they hunt our characters is just so satisfying, so tense. The visual effects are great for these animals, and the the Stan Winston animatronics are fantastic. I love this part of the film. I also really enjoy the Spinosaurus and its chase sequences. While the animatronic can be iffy at times and not as convincing as other times, the overall animal is a really entertaining main antagonistic dinosaur to replace the T-Rex. Maybe not as good or as compelling, it's just there for the action sequences, but its design and roar, the way it hunts, especially in the final battle of the film, in which our characters are going up against the Spinosaurus in the river, and that whole sequence is just phenomenal. And it's where the animatronic and ILM visual effects work phenomenally well. Sure, it's at night, but still, it was able to feel convincing, dangerous. Like, this animal is ferocious and I love it. The problems I do have are story-wise. Because this is an hour and a half long, the shortest of the Jurassic Park franchise, it more so focuses on the action rather than the actual story that had a lot of opportunity to focus on, like the raptors. Why Alan Grant is infatuated with them. In the beginning, we see him talk a lot about raptors, digging them up, and just setting up just how ferocious they are. And we see all that with this new tribe of raptors that are more paleontologically accurate and much smarter, like he predicted. And I felt like this movie was originally focused on that, but because it had such a messy script writing phase, it was probably an aspect of the script that was thrown out, literally, because parts of the script was literally thrown out and replaced, and they came up with ideas on the spot. You could tell that this movie was kind of messy. It is a miracle that this movie is as cohesive as it is. Like, you could understand the first, second, and third act. You can see how characters from the beginning change over time. You could understand the story very well. It is an overall well put together movie. I felt like there was just something missing in this survival story that could have made this film elevate amongst some of the better Jurassic Park movies. But right now, just sitting near the bottom and sits more in the comfortably entertaining side of the Park movies, in my opinion. Another problem I have is that half of the characters are somewhat forgettable. I like Billy Brennan. He's okay, though his twist at the hands of taking the raptor eggs, it's really dumb. Like, I understand why he did it, but all in all, it kind of did felt out of character for him, considering his relationship with Alan Grant. But I guess you can understand where he's coming from more so, and it kind of progresses Alan Grant's character a bit. But still, he made a really dumb mistake that I really didn't agree with. And considering what happened even after it was discovered, before it was discovered, I think that there could have been a moment where he should have just left those eggs somewhere to the raptors. But I guess he didn't know better. Eric Kirby, as I said, is really good. I already praised Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill. The Kirbys are annoying. They don't really put, despite them being central to the story and important, they really don't add much, apart from causing action sequences to happen. And the mercenaries that are with them, just there to add to the body count. Michael Jester is fun and entertaining, but he's just there for the body count, and you can really tell that. So this is not like the most compelling group of characters in this series, but they overall serve their job fine. But definitely the best character is Alan Grant. So character-wise, kind of weak. Story-wise, simple, but not really that effective. But you can understand how things progress. Some of the visual effects don't age well. Like, you could really tell in 4K that some visual effects do look not that great, especially some of the animatronic effects. I mean, sometimes it worked fine, but sometimes it doesn't. But this is some of Stan Winston's lesser achievements in animatronics. But the production design is really good. While it does film in location at times, the jungle sequences that are filmed in stages, you can't tell. It really does feel like you're still outside in the jungle, full of trees. Creatures are after you. The actual ILM visual effects work great. I mean, this whole look and feel of Isla Sorna, I really dig. I love the aesthetic, the environment, how dangerous this island feels, especially the Pteranodon sequences, which is probably the best sequence in the entire film. It is a different area, the island that we haven't seen before, that feels new and refreshing in classic Jurassic Park, and this is where some of the ILM visual effects and Stan Winston animatronics work the best. Even though most of those animatronics did not really work, still, this whole entire sequence is intense and satisfying. The whole fight with the T-Rex and Spinosaurus, the fan of me preferred the T-Rex to win, but still, as an overall fight, despite it being short, it is really awesome. This is how I want these dinosaur fights to feel like. Intense, big, grand, like seeing these dinosaurs ram each other, bite each other. Like, this whole entire theropod fight sequence was just awesome. And at the time, it was the only theropod fight sequence in the Jurassic Park franchise where it's a one-on-one theropod fight. Like, it was awesome. I freaking loved this scene as a kid, and I still love it to this day. All in all, Jurassic Park 3, despite its story problems, its character problems, feeling a bit too simple, and some of the special effects not aging that well. Still overall, a fine, enjoyable, entertaining sequel that is a bit more serialized. It's not really supposed to end the Jurassic Park franchise. It's just meant to continue it on at a more serialized level of movies. But overall, I say that this is still a really fun time. If you just like classic B movies, B and dinosaur movies in general, I can recommend this to you. It's not among the best of the Jurassic Park films, but it's certainly not as bad as some people make it out to be, in my opinion. I can understand why some people do not like it, but to me, this is still a very entertaining movie, and I'm going to give Jurassic Park 3 a B-. Thank you guys so much for watching. People like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.